for joining us, Peg, today.
Pleasure. Nice to meet you, Francesca. We've not actually met before, so nice to meet you.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm really excited to meet you today. I was telling our followers that today our focus will be the world of fast fashion and how we can help bring change to the industry by using our voice and influence. So we're here today. This is our main question for today. So hello everyone. As I was saying, this is part of our ongoing zero waste clothing campaign. So here at Zero Waste Leads, we've decided to focus on the world of clothing and fashion during COP26 to understand the environmental impact of clothing a bit better and what we can do as individuals to help bring change to the industry. So we're here today with Peg. Peg is an award-winning journalist and TV, radio and podcast presenter. And we are here today to discuss together individual advocacy. So in other words, how we as individuals can use our voice and influence to bring change to the clothing industry. So thanks so much for joining us today, Peg.
Oh no, thank you for asking me.
It's great to have you. We know that Peg is a big vintage and second-hand clothing enthusiast, and we know that you're in a 18-month pledge not to buy new clothes.
New clothes? No, not to buy
new clothes.
New clothes. I've bought a lot of new clothes.
Yeah, new clothes. And
new clothes.
We know that you that no longer after you joined TV you came up with that decision. So. Can you tell us a bit about your love for vintage and second-hand fashion?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm from Yorkshire. I mean, to be honest, loads of it starts with money. And actually, I've never had a problem about second-hand. I'm the youngest of 9 children. I always tell this joke, when you've worn underpants that 6 of your brothers have worn before you, do you know what I mean? You get used to second-hand clothing. When we were growing up, you could look at the school photographs and the jumper would go down the school photographs. Do you know what I mean? Every year. So for me, secondhand clothing has just always been a natural part of life. I mean, that's just how it goes. So I don't have a problem with it at all. We don't call them jumble sales anymore, but when I was growing up, jumble sales were the norm. You know, in our family, things from jumble sales will be quite okay as Christmas presents a lot of the time, you know, that sort of thing. So we've always been quite a family where secondhand, shared, that sort of thing is just kind of how it's been, really. And then when I started working, so I've obviously had a lot of stuff that has come that way anyway. And then about, I think it's about 13 years ago now, I lost half my body weight. And that was interesting because I had to buy a completely new wardrobe. And I remember when I was doing the diet, I was really frustrated that because I was doing it for a group thing and we were all losing weight so quickly. And I was determined that I wasn't going to buy any clothes until do you know what I mean? Because I knew these clothes would only last a couple of months or something like that. And at the time I had a very posh job, and actually there was one day I would walk to work and I thought, oh my God, you look so dreadful, because all my clothes were held together by safety pins because they were maybe 3-4 sizes too big for me. So I did have to buy some halfway through, and I remember thinking, this is terrible. Why aren't we sharing clothes at the weight loss group? Why haven't we got all our clothes there? Because we're only going to need them for a few months, so let's just share clothes. So as I say, I'm quite used to that idea. And then when I started working in telly, I realised I needed to buy a whole new wardrobe, because obviously the wardrobe I'd mainly bought after I'd lost weight, and they were quite different clothes to what I would need on telly. Particularly, most of it was about the top. I mean, I deliberately put this top on because I think this top cost me £1.50, and I would never wear this top in real life. Okay, I love it, but it's really short. It's a proper crop top, and I just wouldn't wear it. But it's really good for telly, and it's really good for screen, and I did wear it quite a lot on telly. So I just thought, this is crazy. I'm not going to spend loads of money on clothes that I wouldn't ordinarily wear the rest of the time. So I just started shopping in charity shops, and then I kind of thought, oh no, really, and now I need to make more of a thing of it. So I've got cupboards full of charity shop clothes that look great on screen, look great if I'm hosting an event on a stage, would never wear in real life. And then that's just kind of moved on. Then I started doing a lot of work with Zero Waste Leeds, and I actually trained to be a fashion designer originally. That's what I originally trained to be. So, you know, I do care what I look like, and I do care about the clothes that I wear. I'm going to take these earrings out actually because they're banging against my headphones. So I then started to, you know, get much more thinking, I need to do something more about this as well. And that was when I made the pledge. So I'll be honest, I have bought leggings, I've bought underwear, I've bought things like that. But in terms of, and do you know what, I think I need a new pair of jeans, and I think they're probably going to have to be new because I'm so small. I just can't. I'm small that way, but not so small that way. So I will need to probably buy those. But yeah, I just think there's so much that we can get secondhand. That's what we need to do. But I'm also very opposed to the whole concepts of fast fashion. It makes me feel sick, to be quite honest. I'm not being critical about people who shop in those shops, because I'll be honest, half my wardrobes come from Primark. You know, this is not for me about being critical about being in those shops. But, you know, I'm still wearing dresses that I bought from Primark 13 years ago. It's about longevity for me, and it's about how much we wear them. And the problem with fast fashion that makes me feel sick is this idea that you only wear things once or twice. Because I just think that's such a pity. I think we need to wear our clothes a lot, you know, keep wearing them. I think we need to stop washing them all the time. So many people will only wear clothes for one day, and we know that washing really affects the life cycle of clothes, and it's not necessary. I mean, if you know, we are not in a super hot country here, you know, if you're not doing a manual sweaty job, if you're sitting behind a computer all day, or even, you do not need to change your clothes every day.
Garment care is something that we've discussed quite a bit in the 2 weeks here at Zero Waste Leeds. As you said, like, washing your clothes repeatedly has a significant environmental impact, and like the whole garment care like is responsible for 20% of the overall carbon impact of the clothing industry. The way we wash, dry and iron our clothes, that's a massive impact.
Oh yeah, well, get rid of tumbler dryers for a start. I mean, I in my flat, I do have a you know, a washer dryer. Okay, I can't remember the last time I turned on the dryer. You know, really, I mean, really, for me, drying should be an absolute last resort that you only do if there's no other way to get your clothes dry, not an automatic thing. And in terms of washing, when I remember when I after I'd lost all my weight, I had this really posh job, and every night before I go to bed, I'd think about what clothes I was going to wear in the morning. I remember my husband saying to me, "Oh, it's not a fashion show, love." I go, "That is where you are so wrong." I mean, this office, right? It was a fashion show, and there was real pressure not to wear the same clothes twice in a row. So I remember then when I worked there, I actually created this little system where I would put Post-it notes on hangers that basically meant, I've worn this once, I can wear it again before it needs to go in the wash. You know, and because I just, you know, washing is horrible. Well, nobody likes doing the washing. It's just awful. It's a pain, right? You know, why do it as much as, you know, why do it twice? So I think we just need to think about all our activity in that way. And I think we need to also really challenge the mindset that says when something's been worn once or twice, it can't be worn again. There's some wonderful videos I've made for Zero Waste Leeds, and I've talked with, and there was a lunchtime live with people talking about your clothes have stories, right? Your clothes they're part of your history. They're part of our lives, and I know there's a company in Leeds that does workshops where you actually go in and you celebrate and enjoy the stories of your clothes. And of course, if everyone is watching, we said, tell us about that item. You know, if I say to you, tell me about the jumper that you've got on or whatever, there's stories with all of that. And how rubbish, how colourless that is to lose the idea that every time you open a drawer, you go to, you put something and you think, oh, do you know what? I wore that when I went on that day, or I wore that, let me tell you, this is a really typical story for me. When a few years ago, I went traveling around the world, and we were mainly in sunny places, but Australia was cold when we were there. I know I'm the only person who's probably been to Australia and been cold. And then we got to New Zealand, and the temperature was like a British winter. So arrived with a backpack with shorts and t-shirts, right? And it's -3 degrees. So we did what everyone had told us was to go to what they call op shops, right? Buy all our clothes for New Zealand while we were there, and then get them washed on the last day, and then give them back to the same op shop before we got on the plane to go to Hawaii.
All right.
Okay, so which is what we did. And when we were there, I bought this awful dress, this really awful dress, but it was just necessary. Anyway, so we get home, and I wore it all the way around New Zealand, and for some reason I didn't give it back to the op shop. I can't remember why. So I come back to the UK, and I've still got this awful dress. And every time I looked in the wardrobe and I saw this dress, my instant response was, God, I hate that dress. But for some reason, I could not throw it out. I don't know why. Maybe because it had the story. It took me around New Zealand. I'm wearing this dress in so many pictures in New Zealand. Anyway, I remember looking in one morning and going, do you know what, Peg? You either wear this dress or you throw it out. When I say throw it out, I mean give it to a charity shop again, right? You either wear this dress or that's it, because this is just ridiculous. So I put the dress on, and then I spent the whole day in a state because I hated this dress so much. And it's fair to say, and actually I ended up having loads of photos taken of me that day. I ended up meeting a bunch of new friends that day for the first time. And afterwards, all I could think was, God, I was wearing that awful dress. That is so embarrassing. There's photos. Why was I wearing that dress? But anyway, I tell you that story because clothes have stories. Do you know what I mean? And the truth is, it's still in the wardrobe. I can't bring myself to throw it out, because every time I look at it, and now, you know, I remember who I was with that day. I remember what I was doing. I remember being in New Zealand. I remember all of that. So yeah, so let's celebrate the stories of our clothes, I think. And that makes us want to keep them more, look after them better, not throw them away.
Yeah, that's a really big point, Peg. Like, as you said, like, we should probably start thinking about changing our mindset and the way we approach clothes and the way we like treat our clothes and take care of our clothes. So yeah, I mean, I guess everyone has their own like favorite shirts or favorite jumper that they would wear like to an interview or to like maybe a date or something like that. So like maybe like taking that to the next level and starting really like valuing all our clothes in our wardrobe. But yeah, going back to your pledge, I know that again you've been using your voice and influence as a public eye figure to raise awareness about secondhand clothing and the environmental impact of clothing, of buying new clothes. So what would be your advice on how we can use our voice? Like, for example, if people in our audience are looking at doing the same, maybe with friends or family members. So what would you say is the best approach?
Well, when I started doing this, it was actually when I started being really public about it. It was when I was doing a general election, and I had to get some jackets for general election debates that didn't match any of the party colours, because I couldn't be seen to be wearing something that for who was in the debate. So I started tweeting out these pictures and putting them, you know, sort of, oh, this cost this much, and that's kind of how it started. So for me, I think the thing is to show it off, say, look at this top, it cost me £1.50 at such and such a shop. You know, for me, I always photograph the receipts, not the receipts, the tags that show which charity shop it's from and how much I paid for it. And then I put it all out on social media. Also decide, I think, to to let people know that, you know, everyone said, oh, Christmas party season, right? Should we go shopping in town or Christmas party? That have you got a new dress? You go, it's Christmas party season. I'm off down the charity shop. You know, have charity shop crawls. You know, and we won't just have people watching in Leeds, but you know, people know different parts of Leeds have got very different arrangements with charity shops. So, you know, if you want to get a load of retro stuff, meet up in Headingley and come and do a crawl of the charity shops, rather than, you know, people tell me if you want a bit posher, go out to Ilkley or Harrogate, something like that, you know. So yeah, so and I think it is about being honest and open, and also not feeling pressure, and actually being proud about, yeah, I've been wearing this outfit for 10 years, you know. And never buying anything thinking I can wear that once or twice and then throw it away. I think the other thing obviously comes in terms of mending, repairing, rather than just throwing things out. You know, if you're no good with a needle and thread, there are loads of videos and stuff like that online. I know Zero Waste Leeds have done loads of stuff about how to mend. If you haven't got those skills, there's no shortage of information about how to get those skills if you haven't got them already. And really just try and think, what can I do not to throw out outfits? And when you do throw them out, obviously never put them in a bin, put them in a recycling place, so that either they can go to charity shops. There's loads, as we know, the Zero Waste Leeds map tells you if you're in Leeds, but elsewhere there will be the same. You know, even clothes that have got massive holes in, they can be used in different ways. The material can be recycled and reused. So never ever put any clothing in the bin.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I want to remind our followers that, as you said, our website is full of resources and advice when it comes to trying to repair your clothes or landing up to store. We have a map listing our vintage shops and charity shops in Leeds for the people of Leeds, like watching the live today. There's plenty there. Link in bio. If you go on our Instagram profile, you'll be able to find the link of, to our map. Yeah.
Just one other thought as well. So I've just come back from COP. Yeah. Got back yesterday, and while I was there, I've been doing a podcast every day. So 12 days of COP, different subject every day. And while I was there, I met up with Professor Natasha Ratcliffe Thomas, who friend of Zero Waste Leeds and a world, you know, an expert in sustainable fashion. And we met up and afterwards we just were talk in the cafe after we'd recorded the podcast. And we were talking about individual style, right? So I'm going to get quite fashionista now. Okay, so, but we were talking about that whole question of, because she does this amazing thing, and you can follow her on Instagram, where Fashion Fridays, and she just got the most astonishing clothes. I love the photos, what she puts up, and loads of it is retro stuff, loads of it is secondhand. And I think there's also something about, maybe this is an age thing, I know, I appreciate that, I think it may be an age thing, but there's something about getting your own style and sticking with your style and loving your style and knowing that's you. And then it doesn't matter if the clothes that you're wearing are bang on trend from Primark or wherever, because you've got your look, you've got your style. And actually, for me as someone who, if I'm honest, I do want to look good, and I do want to look like I'm trendy, and I do want to look and I like to think I am, but, you know, I do want to, you know, I do care about that. I know it's vacuous, but I do care about that. And, you know, I think what you learn then is that what looks great and what is really stylish and all of that is often what is your style. It's not what is the absolute latest trend that's come through. And a lot of the time, I think to people, I wish you'd think about that a bit more before you get dressed.
Yeah. I mean, we had a bit of a chat with Leeds Fashion Society the other week about buying from vintage or like secondhand shops, and we did touch upon the idea of like being creative with what you find. I guess like buying secondhand means you have to be more creative, and you start thinking creatively when it comes an outfit together with different pieces that you get from different places, or you've got in your wardrobe, even better. So yeah, I mean, it seems like there is a chance for us to be more creative and like trying to obviously be on top of like fast fashion trends. There's room for us to experiment with the clothes we have in our wardrobe, or clothes, vintage shops and secondhand,
and alter them. I like telling stories, but I'll never forget my first love. Okay, I won't go into details, but it was in a small village in the Yorkshire Dales, and I remember him telling me one story that I just didn't remember that. So I must have been about 12, 13. I was a bit older, but maybe 13. And I'd gone across to his house, and apparently he'd made fun of my trousers not being tight enough. We're talking the 80s, okay? Not being tight enough, and said that my trousers were really trendy. And then when and I don't remember this, but apparently then when he came round to my house later that evening, I'm sitting by the sewing machine, taking the trousers in. Already under pressure. So, but those sort of things, as I say, if you haven't got a sewing machine, ask your mates, right? Someone's got a sewing machine. Yeah. So borrow it, go online, look at the video, and I'm always doing that all the time. I don't have a sewing machine these days, but whenever I need one, I mean, now because of the brilliant library of things in Headingley, I'll be able to go up there and get it. But I do that all the time. Who's in North Leeds and got a sewing machine I can borrow? Do it all the time. And so borrow stuff, mend things, change things, alter them, make them right for you. I mean, when I first started making clothes many years ago, I used to dye sheets with, in those days you couldn't get dyes that went in the washing machine. I used to get an old biscuit tin, put it on the stove and dye sheets in there. So, you can make stuff out of all sorts, and you can reuse things. So you can get something that's not quite right, like you say, be creative, change it. It's amazing what difference a button can make on something. Just changing buttons. You've got amazing play. You can get them online. You can sell off. Take the buttons off and put different ones on. Can completely and utterly change an outfit. I mean, the other thing I think I decided quite early on with the charity shop stuff was that I bought a lot of stuff that I would ordinarily never be sure about. And a lot of the time I'm not sure if it fit me or whatever. But I decided, what's the worst that happens? If I pay £3 for a top in a charity shop and I get it home and it doesn't fit, well, I take it back to the charity shop and I've given them £3 because they're a charity.
Yeah.
And I've donated some money to a worthwhile charity. You can't lose, can you?
No, exactly.
You cannot lose.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, as you said, there's a lot of like room for us to be creative, even like just adding a little detail to like something that we find in our wardrobe that we didn't even know we had. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for example, Rob, like last week, he did a wardrobe audit. So that's how we started, as he always saying, and we encouraged our followers to do a wardrobe audit, because there's many, like chances are we have so many clothes sitting in our, we have no idea that we forgot about them. And yeah, it's an opportunity to be creative with what we have. And given that our like the most sustainable item of clothing is the one we already own.
I was going to just say that quote to you. I think if people take away one message, right, just only one message from this, it's that quote. The most sustainable item of clothing you have is the one you already own.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We love that quote. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And also, like, I guess telling your friends, telling your like family members what you're doing and why you're doing it, and taking the pressure away, like, yeah, just of like obviously being on top of trends and just being
and really think about Christmas. This is one thing I would say. Really question whether you would buy clothing for someone else for Christmas. It's such a personal choice. I wonder how many of us have received clothing for Christmas that we don't wear.
Yeah, that's a big one. Absolutely. And I mean, everyone has their own styles. It's really hard to buy clothes for someone else.
So don't do that. Christmas jumpers, there's loads of Christmas jumpers in charity shops. You really do not need. And frankly, my same Christmas jumper comes out every year.
Oh,
And
yeah.
actually, I quite like that. I like it. I don't need a new one every year because you go, oh, it's Christmas time and Christmas jumpers out. Way.
Yeah, it's like a tradition. Again, like value your clothes.
Mm,
Yes. Well,
yeah.
that's great. Thanks so much, Peg. A lot
No, thanks for having me.
amazing stories. Thanks so much. And yeah, we'll be putting this live on our YouTube channel for people that have missed it, they'll be able to find it there. But thanks again, Peg, for joining us today.
Thank you. Keep up everyone at Zero Waste Leads, keep up the amazing, amazing work.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day, Peg.
You too. Bye-bye.